Hi everyone, and welcome to the Pilgrim Story Hour. I'm Mony Dojeiji. And on this episode today, as we are in this holiday season, I want to talk to you a little bit about walking on faith. You know, our entire pilgrimage from Rome to Jerusalem really was an act of walking on faith, because every night we really didn't know where we were going to sleep, where we were going to end up. And we're relying on the love of the universe, on the kindness of others to help us find shelter for the night. And the story I want to share with you today really, I think, brings home the idea of when you are able to surrender, when you are able to follow your heart and follow love, everything in the end does work out in your favor. And this story actually takes place during the holiday season. It was December. It was snowing like this. It was in Italy. And I didn't realize how cold Italy was until we had to walk through the mountains. And as had become our custom, we were arriving into the town and knocking on the door of the first church or monastery that we found and asking for shelter. And this village into which we had arrived, we were told that the priest wouldn't arrive until later in the evening. And so we waited until around, 5 o'clock when he came in. And when he saw us, he quickly said, "I can't talk to you right now. I have to go. I have to deliver mass, but I'll talk to you afterwards." And so we waited for him yet another hour for him to come out, and by then it was 6 o'clock and it's dark now. And he comes out and we explain that, we're just looking for shelter as we normally do, and he apologizes profusely, saying, I have family staying with me, I can't accommodate you. And we said, well, we don't need you to be in your house. We could just be in any room that you had. And he just said, no, I'm sorry, I can't. And he walked away, leaving us there at 6 o'clock in the evening. The nearest town was about 8 kilometers away. And so we thought, well, why don't we make a go of it and let's see if we can find shelter in the next town. And we normally don't walk at night, but this time we decided that we would walk in the evening. And we must have had more angels watching over us, because the road that we chose was a very fast road. It was treacherous at the best of times because it had very little shoulder to walk on. It was a fast 2-lane road and 80 kilometers an hour at least. And the little shoulder that was there was covered in ice and in snow. So we were already a hazard walking on the road, and I'm sure we looked like ghosts to the cars that quickly came up and saw us walking along the side of the road. But we continued on. About 90 minutes later, we arrived into the town. We looked up and saw this beautiful star. It was a Christmas ornament, but it just looked like a beautiful beacon signaling us to go in that direction, follow the star. And so we followed the star, and it was actually at the top of a church. We thought, oh, this is a good omen. We're going to find shelter here. And they said to us, well, the house of the priest is right there. You could just knock on his door. We knock on the door. This very kind-looking older man opens up, and we're all excited. I've got, okay, this is going to be so good. And we say to him, we just need shelter for the night, and we explain our story. We can sleep anywhere. And he's all smiles, and he's very kind. And with that smile still on his face, he says to us, well, that's a great thing that you're doing, but I'm afraid I can't help you. I'm not a hotel over here. And the look on my face, it was shock and anger, all kind of mixed in together. And I looked down because I could feel my tears just starting to roll, and I did not want him to see me crying, and I just walked away. And Alberto tried to say to him, we are pilgrims. Really all we need is a place to sleep, anywhere to put our sleeping bags down. Please, it's cold, we're hungry, we haven't really eaten all day. And the priest just simply, with that smile, just closed the door on our face. I can't tell you how devastated I was at that moment. And Alberto too, we sat down and we found a bench, we sat down, and I was crying and he was trying to console me, and I really was inconsolable. And so we thought, okay, well, let's just see if there's actually a place to sleep in this town. So the bartender is usually a good source of information. So we headed to the bar in town and we spoke to the bartender, and he said, well, go ask the priest. And we said, we just came from there. And he refused us. And he said, oh, he's a terrible priest anyway. We said, well, that's not really much help for us tonight. We need a place. And he told us there was nothing in town because it was the holidays and there was absolutely no place that was available for us to sleep. We thought, okay, what are we going to do now? Well, we saw a police station on our way in. Why don't we go ask at the Carabinieri, the police, to see if they will help us? And so we went, and they had an intercom system that was a distance from the main door. So we rang the intercom and we explained in Italian that we're pilgrims and we're walking for peace and we just need shelter. And do they have an empty jail cell that we can perhaps take advantage of? And there was this long pause before there was an answer. And finally he said, no, I can't help you. And so is there anything that you can suggest that we can do to help us on this night? He said, yes, take a taxi to the next town. I thought, well, we're pilgrims, we're walking. And he said, I can't help you. And so here we were. It was now 10:30 at night with no other choice but to continue the journey. And the nearest town was now another about 10 kilometers away. We thought, well, we have no other choice. We have to keep walking. And to this day, I don't know why we didn't take a taxi, because this was like an unusually difficult situation, but we didn't. So we continue onwards. It's now very dark, obviously. The road is another fast 2-lane kind of highway. And now not only am I tired and disheartened, but now the fatigue is starting and the cold is starting to set in. And I was walking in front of Alberto as we normally did, and I could feel that I was swaying a little bit, kind of losing my footing and going into the traffic. And so Alberto started to walk in front of me just to make sure that, we would be okay moving ahead. About half an hour into our walk, I see that there is a hotel, and it looked like, oh my God, this is a beautiful. Let's just see if there is something at the hotel, something at the inn. And we go and knock at the door of the inn, and we go inside, and they tell us they're absolutely sold out for the holidays. They have no room for us whatsoever. We come back and we continue walking, trying to keep our spirits alive and up. We're tired. It's now after 10:30. It's close to 11 o'clock at night, and we think about camping because we were carrying camping supplies. But the ground is frozen. We are in open fields and the wind is blowing, as it is a little bit right now in this video. And there's no way that our the pegs would have gone through the frozen ground. And so we kept on walking. And as we walk, maybe another half an hour or so, off the shoulder, across the street, we see a collection of small buildings. And Alberto says to me, the words say La Piedina. And he goes, it sounds to me like in Spanish, like La Piedad, which means not just pity, but mercy. And he said, let's just go see what's there. And so, with our backpacks, we rush across the road, and we go and we see that there's like 3 or 4 different buildings, and we try the doors, and all the doors are locked. But on one of the buildings, we see that there's like a long corridor. And so we take this long corridor, we walk down, and when we turn into this where it ends into this big open room, this big open space, essentially 4 walls, hard packed earth, windows that were set very high, but that had no glass or anything, but they were so high that there was no wind that was howling through that space. It was the perfect space, and there was nobody there. There was nothing there. It was completely open. We walked in and started to poke around. And we found, up against one of the walls, we found some bales of hay. We found 2 large towels. We found a wooden ramp. And we found a trough for feeding animals. It was like something out of a Christmas story, because every hair on my body was standing on end as I witnessed this little manger in which we were now standing. We put down our backpacks. We inhaled the little panettone. The priest people had given us panettone as Christmas gifts along the way. We drank the wine. Our water was frozen, solid, in its flask, so we couldn't drink that. So wine is good enough. And we prepared our bed for the evening. We pushed the ramp against the wall. We sprinkled the hay on top of it. We laid down the towels. We pulled out our sleeping bags, tucked into our sleeping bags, and used our tent as the cover to cover us up for the night. And that was how we spent that night. A night that was unforgettable. A night that only walking, I believe, on faith could we have ever encountered. A night that was so magical and so beautiful that it really made us believe that anything was possible and that every single one of our needs is taken care of. And that love is the ultimate accompaniment on this journey that we were on. Not just going to Jerusalem, but on this journey, on this pilgrimage we all share called life. I hope you enjoyed this little story inspired by the cold and the holidays and the snow. And I wish you all a holiday season filled with love and magic and wonder. And a very muy buen camino to you all. Bye for now, pilgrims.